John Wick, issue number 1 by Dynamite Comics. So, what to say about this issue? Well, let me start off by saying that I'm actually a huge fan of the John Wick series. I loved the whole neo-noir style that the movies have. So one thing about the movies I really like is the style. It has a very unique style. Kind of like I said earlier, very neo-noir. Plus, the story itself is good. The action is really good. The style reminds me a lot of almost John Woo meets the gun katas from Equilibrium, only done in a more realistic fashion. Like there's not a lot of like jumping around, diving with doves flying everywhere. But yeah, when I found out that they were going to do a comic series, I was a little bit excited because I always felt like the universe of John Wick is something I always want to learn more about. Like I think it would actually be a perfect like action RPG. Just the whole like this secret society of assassins, and then like all the like the rules that they abide by, and the Continental and all that stuff. I don't know, like that just whole like it fascinates me. It's a lot cooler than if John Wick was just a dude going out for revenge. Like the fact that there's this like whole built-in universe and world building behind that just makes it so much better. So like I'm totally for comics that explore that a little bit more. But this comic is just man. So first, I'll just say this. This comic comes across as really poorly written and very lazy. Especially the art. I don't know, like some of this art, like it looks like John Wick looks like Keanu Reeves. And then other times he looks not like he looks like some kind of like bootleg Keanu Reeves, or he looks like what he looks like. He looks like those video games that are based off a licensed movie, but they don't have the license of the actor in the movie. But yeah, we get like a dumb scene where Keanu Reeves is in El Paso, Texas, and then he orders a pie, and then as he's ordering a pie, he overhears like this guy and girl talking about some kind of situation that they're gonna do tonight. No, not that kind of fun situation, but I guess we're gonna go after someone's situation. Of course, the guy makes fun of Keanu Reeves because he orders a pie, because that's the thing that happens in the real world. You go to a dining and you order a pie, and there's gonna be a grown adult, acting like a high school bully because you order a pie. Because that's how the real world works, apparently. Like, what is it with comics and bullies? I get if it's like a high school setting, even though not really, because I feel like the whole bully situation is like people make it out to be bigger than it actually is. But there's literally like adults being bullied by other adults, and it's just kind of, I don't know. Then again, maybe depends on the people who are like, I don't know. You look at some of these people, some of the people that, DNC talks about, and they literally act like, like man babies. Like they're adults, but they throw temper tantrums. They act like everything is a personal attack. Like everything is a harassment, an assault. Everything, is racist. And it's just like, maybe that's why the comics, like you have villains that come across like childish bullies. It's because these people are children themselves, the people who are writing it. I don't know. Anyways, I'm kind of getting off topic. So John Wick leaves, and he goes to a food store to pick up some food so he can feed a cat, which is like another thing. It's like, oh, look at John Wick. He loves it. He loves the animals, because remember the first movie he had a dog. Well, because he had that dog and he did all that stuff for a dog, he loves the animals. And it's like, you do know that he didn't do all that just because it was a dog. He did all that because of what the dog represented. It was the fact that it was the very last thing that his wife gave him. So that's why he holds the dog so precious. If his wife gave him like a vintage, I don't know, Tom Brady rookie NFL playing card, and the bad guys like stole it and sold it on eBay, he would probably do the same thing, just because of the fact that it's like, hey, this is the last thing my wife gave me. It has a lot of like emotional value to me. Yeah, I don't know. So I feel like sometimes that's usually what happens with like licensed stuff, like based off movies or whatever, where like a character does one thing, and then people like extrapolate upon that one thing to make it out into like a whole personality. Like, oh, John Wick, liked a puppy. So that's gotta mean he loves every single animal in the world, and he goes out of his way to like buy food and feed all the stray cats and stuff in his area. It's like, no, I think he just liked the puppy because, I mean, one, it's a puppy, and two, it's the last thing his wife gave him before she died. So, could just be that. But yeah, so we cut to 12 years later where John Wick is a kid who still has the same hairstyle that he does as an adult because, people never change their hairstyles. Whatever hairstyle you have as a kid, that's what you're going to have the rest of your life. And what is up with these? What period is this supposed to be in? Is this like the 1920s? Why does one of them look like a cowboy and then the other two look like they're from like the Prohibition era? What is this? This is like the weirdest gang I've ever seen. It's a cowboy and a mafioso teaming up together to chase down a little boy. So yeah, they're chasing John Wick because he has something. Who cares? And one of them, they like shoot at the kid, and they shoot at Kid Wick, and miss, and he hops the fence. And then one of them is like, "Hey, don't worry, guys, I got this." And he pulls out an RPG out of nowhere. Yeah, that's. Don't they want whatever John Wick stole? Wouldn't them shooting a rocket at him kind of destroy that? I don't know. So they shoot a rocket at him, blows up, and then, there's like houses burning on fire and a bunch of witnesses that they have to kill now. Because apparently, there weren't witnesses when you were chasing a little boy shooting at him with handguns. But here's another thing. It's like, okay, this is supposed to be like an emotional moment for John Wick because, like, John Wick is somewhat the cause of these people dying because he stole something that these cowboy mafia people want. And if he didn't do that, they wouldn't be in this area. They wouldn't have used a rocket to try to get him, which would have destroyed these people's houses. These people wouldn't be like, gunned down because they're witnesses and all that stuff. But, I mean, look at this. Look at this panel. What is this? This is supposed to be an emotional scene, right? But you're not showing the people that are getting shot at all. You didn't even draw faces on them. It's almost like this mannequin is shooting another mannequin. So there's no, like, it's supposed to be like an emotional scene, but I don't feel any of that because the artwork is lazy. Like, you didn't bother drawing these people's expressions. Like, even here where you have like two people and like they're depressed and they're like, no, no, no. Like, they're crying as their house is destroyed and their loved ones are getting gunned down. But I don't see it because you didn't draw their faces. I don't see, like, the whole, like, eyes are the windows to the soul. Like, you show me, like, a teary-eyed, and then if it's done well enough, just seeing that is, like, an emotional impact, I mean, I literally did The Batman Who Laughs, and I talked about how, like, that really got to me because you see this child crying after her parents were gunned down. You see like the terrifying, horrifying expression on Barbara Gordon's face as Batman shoots her to death. You see John freaking out and crying because he's blind. He's begging for his dad to help him. And it's like that like tore at me because like I can see the pain in their face. But this, I get nothing. It was lazy. Like, you didn't draw their faces. There's no expression whatsoever. I can't even really get that much of a body language because even that is lazily drawn. I'm trying to pick my words carefully so I don't get demonetized because there's another words that I would like to use. But, yeah, try not to say anything foul or anything considered foul by YouTube standards. So if I start repeating the word lazy a lot, I'm sorry, but it's like the only thing I can come up with that's like safe. There's nothing here to grab me emotionally because you didn't go out of your way to draw like anything. Like, show me some horrifying expressions. Show me some like people crying. Show me some people begging to live. Show people being scared that they're getting shot. But you don't. You don't draw anything on their face. So it's like, I don't really care. Like, these are just mannequins to me. You literally dehumanize victims. Okay. So John looks out his window and he sees, oh man, I forgot his name. But that guy who works at the hotel, the Continental, the guy behind the front desk. So he recognizes John. John recognizes him. And but before anything can happen, the bully from the pie bully shows up with his gang, and they surround the guy. And okay, what is this panel right here? What is this guy doing? Is he putting his hands up, or is he doing pull-ups on an invisible pull-up bar? What is that? Who puts up their hands but like clench their fingers like that? It looks like he's about to do a pull-up, like on an invisible bar. And then here's what I'm talking about. Like you see like John Wick, and it's like, okay, that looks like Keanu Reeves. But then you show him as a kid, and it's like, what the hell is that? That looks like a completely different style. Like that doesn't look like a kid. I don't know what the hell that looks like. And also like again, the whole same hairstyle, really. Like give him like a mullet or something. I don't know. Give him what was fashionable back during that decade. But yeah, like I also don't get this whole like, why is John Wick terrorized by what happened to him as a kid? Like I don't know. I mean, I can get why he is, but why is it brought up now? And why are we making that a thing? Why can't this just be... Why does John Wick have to be like the Punisher or Batman, where they're just like driven by guilt? It's like it works in the movies. Well, not even the first movie, because the first movie it wasn't guilt. It was more of like he's just depressed because his wife literally died, and then the one thing that like the last gift that she gave him was a puppy to bring him some happiness and to help him through that burden, and then that puppy gets killed in front of him. So then now he's even more like depressed and just filled with angst and like revenge and all that stuff. But it's not like he's like, oh, woe is me. Like he has a terrible backstory, like and all that stuff. Like why did we need to make that a thing? Why can't we just have John Wick like this badass assassin who kills people with a pencil? Why does he have to be like some kind of tragic hero, before the first movie? Which kind of hurts the first movie, because it's like, oh, he was a tragic hero, and then what? He became a tragic hero again? Like he's even more tragic now because his wife and puppy died? Like it would have been a lot better if John Wick was a completely different person. If he was like, he was okay. He was like a normal guy who went around and killed people, and then he, met the love of his life, and then he was a happy person and gave up that, past. And then, she died, and now he like is tragic, and but it's like, no, we start off and he's tragic, and then he just becomes slightly more tragic. It's, I don't know, like there's not that much of an oomph of his wife and puppy dying, because he's like he didn't really change. He's the same person that he was before. But yeah, he's just kind of watching until one of the guys hits the cat, and now he's got to do something about it. So John Wick grabs a sofa cushion and he jumps from one building to the other. All right, here's the thing that's weird. Okay, so we can see that he's running on a pillar, but what the hell is up with this panel setup? Why is it that the thing that he's stepping on is like barely in the shot? Like, did you really need to frame it that way? Couldn't you like zoomed out a little bit more so we can actually see what John is standing on? Because right now it looks like he's just standing on the edge of the panel. Like he's standing on the panel border. It's just really weird. But yeah, he jumps through the window because that's the kind of person that John Wick is, Remember in the movies where he's like jumping through a lot of glass windows and doing all these like crazy aerobatic moves? No, you don't? Yeah, that's right, because he doesn't do that. And that's what made it awesome. It was an action movie without him doing like a lot of crazy stuff. Like it was realistic. That's what made the action scene so cool, was the fact that like this looked like a guy who was like actually trained in the way that he, not even just like the way he held his gun was more realistic. Like that's the beauty of it, of John Wick. It's like everything is done like realistically. It's like I can really buy that this guy has like some kind of military background, or like guns training, because like the way he holds weapons, the way he reloads, the way he shoots. But yeah, we gotta make John Wick over the top, having him dive through windows and giving one-liners as he's shooting bad guys, because that's another thing John Wick does. Remember all those funny one-liners that John Wick does in the movies? You don't? Yeah, that's right, because John Wick doesn't talk when he's in the middle of an action scene. When John Wick is like shooting people, he's focused on shooting people and making sure he doesn't get shot. He's not whipping out them one-liners. So yeah, it turns out that one of the gangsters is Cowboy Dude from John's past, because, you know, what a coincidence that is. We got to tie everything together, I guess. What are the chances that someone from his past is going to show up in some random building? But whatever, that's the thing. So John Wick kills him in a very funny manner. I mean, just look at this panel. Did you really need to get that close to that guy to shoot him? That's the one thing in movies that always made me laugh, is when you have like someone, like the hero has a gun and then they literally like walk up right next to a villain and put the gun on them, which just leads to the villain like attacking them in surprise and, you know, turning the guns on them. It's like, you have a gun. Guns are like projectiles, like they're long range. You don't need to be literally right up into someone's face to shoot them. So why is John Wick like literally getting in this guy's personal space so he can shoot him? It's just, I don't know, it's weird. So yeah, we get some more of like nods to the movie where the cops show up and the cops and the cleaners show up, and the cops kind of turn a blind eye because they have the gold coin. And then we cut to some kind of party where we see the woman from the diner is informed that the situation is, you know, went awry because John Wick is involved. So now she's like, all right, you know, who's gonna help me kill John Wick? And it's like, look at this. This is literally a splash page, which tend to be heavily detailed because it's just one giant panel. You couldn't even bother to draw this girl's face. I mean, look at that. What is that? Scribbles? You drew scribbles for her face? And look at the guy next to her. What the hell is that? And these are literally the only two people with any kind of like detail on their faces. Everyone else like basically looks like Slender Man. Like, is this lady standing like in the mannequin department? What is this? Like, this is so lazy. Like, this is these two people right here in the middle. They're the focus of this whole panel, and you draw them like that. Where's the detail? Like, I can understand if like the people in the background you don't put that much detail in, especially the people further in the background. That's fine. But literally the people that this whole panel is focused on, the literal focus of the panel, and you don't even draw their faces. That's so bad. This is so lazy. And the people in the background, like, they're not that far away. They're close enough that you would draw expressions on their faces as well. But you don't. Like, it's just, this is so terrible. And then, like, you have the clack, 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 I guess, of guns being loaded. But it looks like they literally just took the font and then they just, like, resized it and rotated it. But, I mean, even the, like, yeah, I mean, even the spelling of the clack is exactly the same. They literally just copy-pasted clack and then just rotated and resized it to fit the panel. Everything about this issue screams lazy. From the writing to the illustration to the lettering. Like, this is just, this whole issue, like, I'm starting to become a broken record, but this whole issue just screams lazy. But yeah, that's John Wick, issue number 1. I'm not going to be doing issue number 2. You guys don't care enough to put any effort into making your comics. I'm not going to put any effort into reading them. That's just how I feel about it. Hard pass on this series. Try better next time. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you guys next time. Later.